G'day guys, welcome back to Nine Empire. I'm Mark Arnold, and in this episode we're going to be talking Whitewall Tyres. I'm going to show you how we can apply white walls to any tyre. We're going to see the differences between a custom white wall and a factory white wall. Plus, are these things illegal? Okay guys, in this episode we are gonna tackle a job that I've been doing for years. You've seen me do a billion times on the channel, but we're gonna do a little bit more in depth on white wall tires. So way back like 5 or so years ago, I'd actually done a video on how to do white wall tires. We're gonna do it all again because it has been so long and there's a bunch of questions that I can answer for you guys and maybe lead you down the right path if this is something you wanna get done on your car. So, first things first, we got to get this thing jacked up. This thing has had white walls on it forever. It's Andrea's daily driver. We're due for some fresh tires in the back, so we're going to do that. And what better time than to show you how to do it. For those of you who don't know, I actually used to do this for a job for about 13 years until I finally got too busy doing YouTube videos to actually travel around the place and do it. So I know a little bit about white wall tires. So in this episode, let's teach you guys a little bit about white wall tires. First thing you're going to find is that nearly every late model car that is even remotely lowered is a pain in the ass to get under. So do yourself a favor, drive it up on some blocks and save yourself about 600 repetitions of the jack handle. Now that actually reminds me, if you're ever driving up on some blocks, do yourself a favor and cut a wedge into the end of them, unlike I have done with this one, because what happens is as you drive up on them, they'll flick up, smack the underside of the car, which of course isn't a big deal on this thing, but I've actually had this happen before when a customer drove off of a set of blocks like this, and as it come down, the front end of the block flicked up and it basically speared his front bar on this HSV and ripped his front bar off, and it was the most awkward situation, taking my payment and getting in my car and leaving while he basically looked at his car totally fucked on the ground. Okay, next thing you want to consider when jacking a car up, it is really in your best interest to try and jack it up from under the diff center, because even though it's a pain in the ass with an IRS car like this, the arse end droops right down. It takes you forever to get the thing off the ground. But the problem with doing it one side at a time, if you've got an LSD, you're going to have a lot of trouble spinning one wheel. The other wheel's going to want to bite onto the ground, and you're basically going to have to get both wheels off the ground anyway. So the back end of cars, especially high horsepower cars with real big tires, real tight diffs, they can be very challenging at times. So, and also cars with tight brakes, old cars that maybe need a bit of maintenance. There's lots of things you need to consider. Okay, next thing you're going to have if you're doing white walls yourself is a tool, something like this. They all vary, but they're all basically a pretty similar design. This particular unit was sort of homemade sort of thing, and it's done me well. I bought this way back in like 2009, I reckon. So we're talking, what are we, already 16 years ago. And I bought this from Mildura. So a bloke out there was doing this sort of after hours, and yeah, he had enough and he sold it to me. I then done it after hours, and then for me, it pretty much turned into a full-time business here in Adelaide. So if anyone remembers a dude back in the day, previous to 2009, doing white wall tires, this would be the machine he used. And it was painted bright green at the time, and I've maintained it over the years, sort of, kind of, hardly. It has been through hell and back, but it's still going strong. Basically, you'll put this under the wheel. Make sure you're in neutral, of course. You want a little bit of pressure on the machine. A bit of pressure on the machine. That wheel will turn with the motor. So let's get some power and get fired up. Okay, so now that we have the machine set up, it is all operating beautifully as it should. We get ready to prepare the tire. So basically, it's at this point you hope that the tire's clean and you've previously removed any traces of tire shine. Tire shine is the worst thing in the world. And so you want to try and really, you want to get that off before you even get to this point, because trying to wipe tire shine off by hand sucks balls. Now we go in with some thinners on just a dry rag. Thinners is hands down the best cleaner you're gonna get in this application, because anything else will leave either like a detergent's gonna leave like a suds sort of residue on there. Anything like Prepsol or anything like that is just going to leave like a hazy look. It sort of tends to dry a little bit grey. But thinners will dry as clear as anything, and it will blacken your tyres like, well, it won't blacken your tyres, but what it's going to do is leave the rubber as black can be. So, as you can see, we're all cleaned up. They come up really nice. Now it's time to get our grinder. Okay, so it's right about now. You might be contemplating your life decisions. What the hell I've just done? I've got nearly a tire's worth of rubber on the floor here, but I'm going to tell you right now why that is not a problem. Okay, so for many years, I have heard on the grapevine that it's illegal to have Whitewall tires like this applied to your tires. I've heard of people getting defected, all that sort of stuff, but never once have I encountered this myself. I've had vehicles that I have Whitewalled personally go for full roadworthy inspections, and they have passed absolutely no worries. Now, a lot of people do get a little bit nervous when they see that amount of rubber on the ground, but what's actually happening is the side of this tire is basically loaded up with writing. A lot of the writing is protruding from the sidewall, and some of the writing is actually imprinted into the sidewall. Maybe 1/2 mil sticking out, maybe 1/2 mil sticking in. Let's say it's going to be totaling around 1 millimeter of difference there, maybe 1.5 mil. Now, the tire is only as strong as its thinnest point. So if you've got a tire with lettering imprinted into it, I'm only taking down this tire width to the lowest point. So we've got a nice smooth finish, which may be a little bit hard to see on the camera there, but basically we've just taken off any lettering. We've now got a nice smooth, in this case, 1/2 inch strip. So we can roll in some paint and get a nice finish. If you don't get that right, you'll be fighting it, and you'll have a pretty poor finish on your white walls. Another thing, there's no wear indicator on the side of a tire. I've seen tires that have been pounded into the gutter repeatedly. I'm not looking at anyone in particular or any genders here, but some are worse than others. And the left-hand side of your car, your tires are just absolutely smooth from just hitting the gutter relentlessly. If they're not going to defect that, they can't defect this. There's no wear indicator on the side. There's a wear indicator on the top. There's absolutely no problem with Whitewall tires like this if applied the way I'm doing it. Besides, I would burn through a grinder before I got anywhere near hitting the canvas on that tire. Let's roll some color. Okay, next up, we're going to wipe this section of tire down with some adhesion promoter. I use this on the channel all the time. It is going to make this paint stick to that tire. Another good thing this adhesion promoter does is leaves a bit of a sort of a black finish, like it gives it sort of a satin sealed look. So you'll get a tire with a nicer look than just leaving it raw. So you can get that on there as well. Now the paint I use is an epoxy enamel. I found it is the best paint to bond to the tire and stay flexible. It has a lot of flex in it. It's actually designed and made here in Adelaide, and it's designed to be to go on gel coat of hulls like boats. So it has got a lot of give, and that's what allows it to flex and move with the tire. So generally speaking, it will stay on. I've got tires that have been done 15 years ago or more that are still holding colour. Admittedly, yeah, they've got a few cracks in them, but it sticks like shit to a blanket. And this part is all about just having a steady hand and practice, practice, practice. Now, this particular tyre was actually a used tyre. It had looked like it had been run into the gutter about 20 times, so there's quite a few chunks. There's a chunk. There's a few chunks here, so you've got to work with that sometimes. There's some hurdles. This particular spot here is a print they often put into tyres, and it's gone very deep. I'm not going to bother grinding far enough to get that out because it's a long way down. It just means there's going to be a couple little spots there that are always going to be visible, but realistically, you got to draw the line somewhere, and that's where I'm drawing it. Let that set, give it a couple of minutes, go again, build your layers up. You want to give this thing probably every layer, I would do probably 2 laps, and then probably do 3 or 4 of those, and you'll get some pretty good coverage then. All right, so we end up getting coverage in about 2.5 coats, so pretty happy with that. At this point, you want to not go too far. If you just keep adding paint, it's going to get thicker, and it has way more chance of cracking. So you want to get just enough coverage to be covered and no more. Don't push your luck. Now, there is a hell of a lot more involved when it comes to technique to getting this job really nice and neat, but that's something you have to learn if you want to have a crack yourself. So that's the basics. I'm going to go around, tidy up a couple of these other ones, one more white we'll do on that side from scratch, and then this thing's going to look pretty schmick again. Okay, so the fairlane is now all white-walled. I had a camera malfunction yet again, so we'll take a look at that in just a second. But before we do, I thought I'd show you what the difference is between a factory white wall. So right here on the HJ Kingswood, we have a factory white wall. Now you'll see the actual white section is actually raised up and it's sort of cast into the mold of the tire. That's actually white rubber, and either side of where you can actually see below is actually white rubber as well. So there's actually quite a bit of thickness in there. You can actually grind these out to be whiter than they are currently showing, but it's not always a nice crisp edge like you see like this, so it can be risky. If you need to refresh a set of white walls that are factory like this, your best bet is to buzz them back with literally buzz them with sandpaper. You need to get that top layer off. They do tend to get stained. Even this one you can see has got a bit of discoloration happening. Not too bad, but it's common even with brand new white walls. They often need a little bit of work. But if white walls that are applied aftermarket are done right, they can last for years. I mean, here's the LTD. That white wall there is probably a couple of years old already. The Tirana here, a set of red walls, also a couple of years old. That one is showing a few signs of very fine cracking, which is going to happen with older tires. Red walls also exactly the same process. You put some white down first, then you bang some red on top. It needs to have that white base to get a good, bright, vibrant coverage. So everywhere you see the dark way down there, red walls. My Fairlane out here is getting dark, so you might not be able to see white walls. The Doom Sled, a pair of thick white walls on that thing. They're like 10 years old. They're old as the hills. So nothing around here is safe really. And as you can see, they last pretty well when done right. Okay, so that is it. All wrapped up with the fresh white walls. This thing has been gone without for so long, and Andrew's been out in it all day, gave it a bit of a detail. It's looking way better now. Another thing to bear in mind when you're doing Whitewall tires, the older the tire, it is actually the better because they're a lot drier. They tend to hold the paint a lot better. Newer tires are really quite oily. So if you want to go and do this on a set of brand new tires, you're going to find that the white is going to discolor quite quickly. If you put red down, it's going to go very dark red. There's just a few implications that come with applying Whitewall tires. But as I mentioned earlier, those implications are whether they're aftermarket or factory white walls. I've had brand new factory white walls turn brown as anything just because of the oils in the tire. But anyway, that's all part of custom cars. And yeah, as you can see, they look really nice. Hopefully you guys learned something out of this. Hey, once again, if this is something that you'd be interested in doing yourself, I strongly suggest for anyone that wants to have a crack at it, jump online. You can often find these tools secondhand. People that have done this on the side end up selling their business or the tooling, and have a crack at it because it is a really good side hustle. This began for me as a side hustle. It ended up becoming full-time work, and now I keep my tooling and I just do it all for myself. But if you're looking for a bit of side work, especially a young lad coming up and wanting to sort of get a bit of money behind you working after hours, is an awesome way to make a bit of money on the side, because in the end I was charging probably $150 for a set of walls. It takes me about an hour to do. A bit of travel involved as well. But yeah, something to bear in mind. Also, if you're in Adelaide and you do white walls, reach out to me, let me know, because I'd love to forward all my customers on, because I still get calls every single week with people wanting to do getting white walls on their car. And like I said, I don't offer it as a service anymore, but maybe I can send those customers on to you. Anyway, that is it for this time around. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you on an upcoming episode. Cheers, guys.